Most people think the Secret Service is one of the most glamorous jobs in America. Dark suit, earpiece, motorcade, standing 3 feet from the president while cameras flash and crowds scream. That part is real, but it comes at the end of the story, not the beginning. Because most people think the Secret Service is about proximity to power. It is really about proximity to failure. Before you get anywhere near the president, the job teaches you the same lesson over and over. Your comfort doesn't matter. Your schedule does not matter. And in a real emergency, your body is useful for one reason above all others. It can go where the protectee cannot afford to be hit. You do not start next to power. You start in classrooms, on ranges, in field offices, and in unmarked cars. You learn that the Secret Service is a pressure system. Before anyone trusts you near a president, a vice president, or a former first family, the service wants proof that you can handle boredom, exhaustion, disruption, and sudden danger without freezing. That proof takes years. You will investigate counterfeiters, fraud crews, and identity thieves. You will work protective support assignments nobody notices. You will stand in bad weather, run advance work in unfamiliar cities, and learn that success in this job usually looks like nothing happening at all. Because the higher you rise in the Secret Service, the less your life belongs to you. The schedule gets worse. The pressure gets higher. The margin for error disappears. The people at the top are not the ones who looked best in a suit. They are the ones who survived inside a machine that rewards discipline, punishes failure, and eats whatever part of your private life you fail to defend. This is the Secret Service ladder. And if you make it all the way to the top, it will cost you far more than the application ever mentioned. Level 1. The new agent. You enter young, ambitious, and usually wrong about what the job actually is. Your application gets accepted. You come in at the lower end of the special agent track, often around GL07, though some applicants enter higher depending on education, credentials, or prior service. It sounds prestigious immediately. Federal badge, federal gun, federal authority. But the first thing the service teaches you is that prestige means nothing if you cannot operate. Training begins at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Centers in Glencoe, Georgia. For 13 weeks, you are not learning how to stand next to presidents. You are learning how to become a federal criminal investigator. Interviews, surveillance, search warrants, evidence handling, case building, court testimony, long days. Constant evaluation. The Secret Service has 2 missions. Protection gets the headlines. Investigation dominates the beginning of your career. You thought you were entering the part of government that stands in the light. Instead, I enter the part that spends years preparing for the 1 second everything goes wrong. After Glencoe, you go to the James J. Rowley Training Center in Laurel, Maryland. This is where the training becomes Secret Service specific. You learn emergency medicine because if your protectee collapses, you may be the first person who has to keep them alive. You learn advanced driving because if an attack happens, traffic laws stop mattering. You practice evasive maneuvers, hard turns, vehicle recovery, and controlled chaos behind the wheel. You spend long hours on the range, but the lesson is different from what most people imagine. Your job is not to chase danger. Your job is to shield the protectee from it, even if that means taking the exposure yourself while someone else returns fire. That is the real job. After more than 30 weeks in the system, you graduate, credentials, weapon, assignment. Then the service sends you where it needs you. Maybe Newark, maybe Phoenix, maybe Miami, maybe Seattle. You can list preferences, but the agency moves people according to operational need. This is phase 1, and it lasts at least 4 years. In the field office, you work investigations, counterfeit currency, credit card fraud, identity theft, bank fraud, financial crime networks moving money through shell companies and skimming devices. You build cases methodically. You sit on surveillance. You review records. You write reports. You execute search warrants before sunrise. The work is technical, repetitive, and far less cinematic than the public thinks. But while you are building fraud cases, you are also doing protective support. A campaign event hits your city. A foreign head of state visits. A protectee travels through your region. Suddenly you are screening access points, checking credentials, securing routes, sweeping sites, and coordinating with local law enforcement. Most of elite protection work is preparation, repetition, waiting, and discipline. If you do your job perfectly, nothing happens. The event ends safely. The protectee leaves. The news covers the speech, not the security plan. That is success. You are still proving that you belong. And when phase 1 ends, the question changes. It is whether the service trusts you to stand between danger and someone whose death would shake the country. Level 2, the protection track. This is where the public image of the Secret Service finally starts to appear. You apply for reassignment into protection. The Presidential Protective Division is the most famous. The Vice Presidential Protective Division has its own prestige. There are former presidents' details, specialized assignments, and protective intelligence roles focused on threats before they become attacks. Whatever assignment you get, your title may not change much. Your life does. Let's say you land on a former president's detail. You are no longer measuring your days by case files and warrants. Now your life runs on shifts, coverage, readiness, and movement. Midnight post outside a residence, early morning departure, hotel security, event walkthroughs, vehicle positioning, emergency route planning, medical contingencies, coordination with local police in cities you barely get to know because you are always leaving them. You stop thinking like an investigator and start thinking like a moving shield. The job is not to look dangerous. The job is to make sure danger reaches you first. Every trip becomes an exercise in controlled paranoia. You advance locations before the protectee arrives. You identify blind spots, exits, choke points, hospitals, traffic vulnerabilities, protest zones, and places where chaos could build if something goes wrong. Most of the time, nothing happens. You stand, you scan, you wait, you repeat. Then the one moment you trained for might happen in 2 seconds. That imbalance changes people. The posture never fully turns off. You start noticing hands, doors, stairwells, rooftops, and crowd movement without trying. Ordinary spaces stop feeling ordinary. They start feeling unsecured. The agents standing near the president on television did not get there quickly. They spent years building the habits that make elite protection look smooth. Tight formations, fast repositioning, calm under confusion, calm when the event starts bending the wrong way. By the time you become credible on a major detail, you have already given the service a large piece of your life. And then the ladder changes again, because now the agency wants to know whether you can lead. Level 3, the senior agent and supervisor. After your major protective assignment, the ladder opens up. Some agents return to field offices, some move into headquarters, some take training, planning, liaison, or protective intelligence roles. But the real threshold is supervision. This is where the ladder stops rewarding execution and starts rewarding judgment. You move into a supervisory role. You are no longer just the person carrying out the plan. You are the person other agents look to when the plan starts failing. Now you assign people, you evaluate threats, you review decisions, you absorb pressure from above and turn it into direction below. You decide what gets escalated and what gets handled quietly before it grows into something worse. This sounds like power. Sometimes it is. A lot of the time it feels like inheriting everyone else's mistakes. Leadership inside the Secret Service is operational, administrative, and political at the same time. You are managing schedules, coverage gaps, personnel issues, travel friction, agency coordination, and tired people who do not want to be managed. At this level, competence is no longer enough. This is the level where the job stops asking whether you can perform under pressure and starts asking whether you can stay functional while other people fail around you. You can be sharp and committed and still have your day wrecked by one late movement, one bad judgment call, one preventable gap, or one exhausted agent making the wrong choice at the wrong time. Earlier in the ladder, you were paid to perform. Now you are paid to absorb failure without letting the system crack. You are no longer protecting one person from danger. You are protecting the operation from disorder. This is where careers begin to separate. Some people level off here, but the people who keep climbing are the ones who can live with less adrenaline, more accountability, and the constant possibility that somebody else's weakness will become their responsibility. Level 4. Upper management. By now, the ladder is less about physical proximity to danger and more about control over the machine that handles danger. You move into upper management, assistant special agent in charge, then broader executive roles above that, multiple groups, multiple supervisors, bigger budgets, more visibility. At this level, you are no longer the person taking the risk. You are the person deciding which other people will take it, where they will take it, and how much support they will have when they do. You oversee investigative priorities, protective readiness, staffing, budgets, resource allocation, interagency coordination, and crisis response. You live in briefings now, meetings, approvals, risk reviews, performance issues. From the outside, this looks like power. In practice, it often feels like compression, because every mistake below you moves upward. Every security lapse carries consequences. Every visible failure can become a headline. Every headline can turn into scrutiny, internal review, or career damage. By this point, the agency has usually reshaped the rest of your life too. Missed holidays, broken routines, strained marriages, children raised around schedule instability, and the knowledge that work can override any plan without warning. How much ordinary life are you willing to give up to keep rising? By the time you reach upper management, that cost is visible, cumulative, and often permanent. Most agents never make it this far, and above this level, there are only a handful of seats left. Level 5, the director's office. At the top of the Secret Service are only a few positions: assistant director, deputy director, director. This is where individual careers disappear into the institution itself. The people who reach this level usually followed the same broad pattern: field office investigations, major protective assignments, supervisory roles, executive roles, years spent building credibility in multiple parts of the agency. As that is what makes the top so hard to reach. It is not enough to be politically smooth. Operators will see through you. It is not enough to be operationally tough. Headquarters will outmaneuver you. To reach the director's office, you usually have to be both: trusted by executives, respected by agents, calm under scrutiny, reliable under pressure, willing to take the assignments that increase your visibility, wreck your schedule, and expose you to blame. Now the scale becomes national. Thousands of employees, multiple layers of command, protection responsibilities tied to some of the most targeted people in the world. Constant travel, constant threat streams, constant exposure. At this level, success is supposed to look routine. Failure does not. A breach on your watch is not just a bad day. It is congressional testimony, media outrage, internal review, and public doubt. The mission does not stop while any of that is happening. The threats keep moving. The next operation still has to run. That is the reality at the top. The director sits at the convergence point of every weakness, every pressure, every expectation, and every consequence inside the agency. And the people who get there usually did not get there by protecting their personal lives. They got there by giving the institution decades. Decades of missed birthdays, missed anniversaries, missed holidays, broken sleep, broken routines, years spent living according to someone else's movements, someone else's threat profile, someone else's emergency. That is the real ending of the ladder. Not the suit, not the earpiece, not the image people carry in their heads when they think about the Secret Service. The real ending is this: if you climb high enough, your entire life becomes part of a system built to prevent catastrophe around the most exposed people on Earth. Somewhere right now, somebody is filling out that application. They are imagining motorcades, sunglasses, and presidential proximity. What they are actually signing up for is years of investigations, years of protective grind, and years of proving they can be trusted with inconvenience, exhaustion, uncertainty, and the possibility of violence. If they keep climbing, they are signing up for something heavier still. They think they are applying to protect power. What they are really doing is volunteering to let power reorganize their entire life.